beef going on, Colin.
Oh, is this the Vic Fangio Harbaugh thing?
A little pettiness being exchanged. Well, Denver, we'll just play the sound of both coaches talking about it, but Denver head coach Vic Fangio spoke first about the final play call by the Ravens in Sunday's game.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of but I expected it from them. You know, I've 37 years in pro ball. I've never seen anything like that. So, but it was to be expected, and we expected it.
Why did you expect it from them?
Because I just know how they operate. You know, that's just their, mode of operation there. Player safety is secondary.
Well, John Harbaugh responded to those comments from Vic Fangio yesterday.
I mean, I thought we were on good terms. We had a nice chat before the game. Known each other for a long time, but I promise you, I'm not going to give that insult 1 second thought. That's what's meaningful. What's meaningful to us might not be meaningful to them. Their concerns are definitely not our concerns.
Can I defend John Harbaugh here?
Okay.
So I've worked at the two largest sports companies in America.
Yes.
ESPN, where I was wildly popular, and they tolerate me here at Fox. What matters to Fox, we roll our eyes at some of the stuff they do, and
right.
They probably roll their eyes at stuff we do. And I clearly prefer one over the other. But the point being is, worry about your own house. When we do stuff at Fox in our show, one of the things we never do, we have a lot of shows that talk about us. We never fire back. Joy and I worry about our show. I'm really over. Here's my knock. There's a piece of video out there that when the Ravens were going for it on that run, Fangio was right down the line watching them. He knew they were going for 100. He wanted to stop them.
Right.
So if you stop competing, then I guess I'll stop competing. But I worry about your own team and your own issue, and stop talking about player safety. We all know there's a regulated level of violence in the NFL. Everybody that suits hell, you're a coach, you got to watch yourself on the sideline, or you can get hurt. So whenever I hear somebody talking about somebody else's team or somebody else's business or somebody else's podcast, worry about your own stuff. Denver right now got worked at home. You got worked at home. You got to worry about Teddy Bridgewater's health.
Yeah.
And your offensive line and your inability to stop Lamar Jackson on big throws in your secondary. So I'm going to defend, and I know I'm in the minority here, but I'm going to defend Baltimore and John Harbaugh. My business, my team. You know who John Harbaugh is responsible for? Okay, right now Urban Meyer's struggling in his locker room. You know who's not? John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh walks into his locker room, and those guys love John Harbaugh.
Right.
Because he doesn't give a rip about your defense and your feelings. And I think what makes John Harbaugh special is he has total belief from his players. Total belief.
Well, we didn't play the entirety of the sound, but he also mentioned that, they're throwing the ball in the end zone with 10 seconds left, down
Exactly.
16 points. There's not a 16-point play or way to score 16 points on one play either. So, you can get picky here with at what point in the game you should stop competing. And it is for a record and whatever. You can feel how you want to feel about it. I'm with you. Some people feel like it's a little Bush League. I feel like stop them. That's like when people are like, oh, like you're running the score up. Like, it's professionals. Stop them. Stop them from scoring.
Yeah.
That's what you're out there to do.
By the way, guys,
sometimes it's just not your day.
You know what? Some of these professional athletes have bonuses tied to 100-yard games, and it turned me. And by the way, I'm rooting for Denver. It's a great city. It's a great fan base. I really like their team.
But that was a bad loss for them. Now, obviously, Teddy wasn't out there, so you can take that obviously into consideration.
But Baltimore won the day. And the winner of the war writes the book on it. So you got to do what you want to do.
Well, they won't face off again this season unless they meet in the playoffs, which we'll see how that goes for the Broncos. The Broncos face the Steelers this Sunday and are 1.5-point underdogs, and the Ravens are up against the Colts on Monday night and are 7-point favorites according to Fox Bet. Oh, the Cardinals. Might have been a little bit wrong about the Cardinals this year. So they started last season hot and then cooled off, but head coach Cliff Kingsbury is not going to let the Cardinals 4-0 start get to their heads. He said, collectively after last year, we made a point to stay in the present, to focus on 1 week at a time and trying to improve each week, and I think our guys have done a nice job so far.
They brought in some veterans, some leaders, some J.J. Watt. I mean, that should be noted. That was a real plan, that we need a little more maturity and a little more leadership.
Yes. Well, they started 6-3 and then last year and then lost 5 of their last 7 to miss the playoffs for the 5th consecutive season. Now they look on fire this year, obviously, and that was a huge win over the Rams. So it does appear that those additions and this mentality of staying week to week and not getting caught up in what your record is helping, on top of the fact that they are playing amazing football. And while everyone's focusing on the offense, the defense has been incredible as well.
Yeah.
Like, this is a complete football team.
You know, you and I had talked about this before the year. I said I had picked Arizona for 4th, and I said they're going to be easily the 4th best team in NFL football. This division is so far from over. I mean, the Rams played virtually perfect football against the Super Bowl champion Bucs, and then came out in this game, and you could tell 2 series in, they were totally flat.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that game with the Bucs, it not only because of SoFi, it looked like a conference championship game. It felt like it, and they played that level. But, you know, we always have a rule on this show. The Tennessee Titans last week lose. Watch them bounce back and play great. The Raiders last night got pushed around. Watch the Raiders come back next week and play really well. The Rams looked perfect, came out flat, and now they on Thursday night, this will be a great game. They go to Seattle. Mark my words. The Rams will be totally buttoned up in Seattle on Thursday. That is a great Thursday game.
No, it's incredible. It's a great game. Well, so they play this week, and the Cardinals and Niners play this week. So this is a huge divisional week for the NFC West. And the Cardinals are favored by 5.5, according to Fox Bet. But they're averaging 35 points per game.
They're crazy fun. They almost feel, you know, Kingsbury comes from college. Kyler 1 year in college. I'll be honest with you. They got about 15% Oklahoma Sooner. They got a little college. You know, they're kind of just, I mean, Kyler Murray is...
They're the best watching football to me right now.
Kyler Murray he had a 3rd and 16 run for a first down. And it was just one play. It was so heartbreaking for the Rams is that they really defended it perfectly. I mean, he is, you know, they say he's the best high school quarterback of all time. People that saw him play in Texas say he's the best high school quarterback anybody's ever seen. How Texas A&M let him walk, I will never know.
Well, that's what happens when you have a dynamic athlete at quarterback. He can do things like that.
Yeah.
So, Ben Simmons drama, a lot has been said about what's going on there. And Keith Pompey of the Philadelphia Inquirer reported that Simmons' agent, Rich Paul, said he has made it clear to the Sixers the reason for his client's trade demand right from the start. He said the Sixers asked Simmons why he wanted out, and Paul informed them that the point guard was mentally exhausted. The source believes they didn't pay attention to Simmons' state of mind or feelings about being in Philly because of the 4 years remaining on his contract.
Oh boy.
Ben Simmons has denied all efforts to the Sixers to bring him back, so this is obviously a deep problem. The Athletic reported that Simmons believes his partnership with Joel Embiid has run its course, and Joel hinted that Simmons' desire to be the primary ball handler while Jimmy Butler was gone, called the situation weird, disappointing, borderline disrespectful. So they've taken money out, and they've put it in an escrow account. When he didn't show at the Toronto opener, they removed $360,000 from this account that has $8.25 million. So they have to dock him pay if he doesn't show up.
Right.
But what's happening now is a precedent conversation. With contracts, there's always the conversation of precedent. We can't give you this because that's a precedent, and then the next person that comes along is going to want that, and then so on and so forth. That's what companies do when you're in these situations. And because there are 4 years left on this massive contract, there is a feeling that they can't cave to him because this is setting a precedent that is beyond what is normal for a star to ask out. On top of the fact that they've already gone to such lengths to accommodate Ben Simmons.
Well, and once Ben Simmons and his representatives bring up mental health, and nobody can say anything because then you lack empathy. So I'm not here to second guess Ben Simmons, but when you use that,
yes,
okay, it's a mental health issue. Well, then in Philadelphia, the Sixers are trapped. They can't say anything, or they'll look like they lack compassion. So, I mean, what you're basically saying in this whole story is now that Ben Simmons is a victim of all these circumstances, and I'm going to push back on that and say many were created by Ben Simmons. I'm not saying he is completely at fault, but I don't like I'm the victim in this. They weren't aware of. It's like, come on now.
There's plenty of blame to go around in this situation. I think you and I are on the same page about all of it. At the end of the day, we all saw this coming. Every time I talk about this, it's not with any level of surprise.
Right.
Like this whole situation could have been avoided if you looked at what was happening, not only off the court but on the court.
It's like Jimmy Garoppolo being hurt early in the season. We talked about it literally potentially happening. Like Ben Simmons and conflict with the Sixers. We were on this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This is not a shocker, like a meteor that strikes your house and it destroys the property. It's like we saw it coming for years.
And I really do wonder what the anxiety from the organization was to handle it earlier.
No.
Because now here you are.
Enjoy with the news.
Well,